Let's start with the broad topic of everything going on USPS. They've announced their $40 billion modernization plan, which is one of the biggest shifts that they've had in years or decades. New sortation centers, EVs, route consolidations, and now just last week, the announcement of a new Postmaster General. So just curious, what does that mean for companies like DHL? And then maybe the follow-up is, what does that mean for shippers? We'd love your perspective on how you think about that and how you guys are discussing all of this internally and planning for it. And then what should the outside world be doing the same?
David Steiner, the new named PMG, I think no one has a great read on what his intentions are or how he would address challenges at the USPS. So we're all wondering what's the plan there. Step back with Louis DeJoy and company. You got to give that guy credit for making an honest effort to try to change something. In an organization that big with that many stakeholders, you got to take 10 steps forward, knowing you're going to get beat up 9 steps backward just to get 1 forward. So you got to give him credit for really trying. And I think a lot of the thought that went into what he was trying to do made sense from our perspective as a workshare partner. A lot of the things he did that on the surface weren't great for us. So they eliminated the ounce-based pricing under a pound. They backed us up to the SCF as opposed to the DDU. But when you look at a DDU, for example, which is a destination delivery unit, like your local post office, that was great for us because huge barrier to entry, right? We were going to 10,000 DDUs every day. You got to have scale and quite a sophisticated operation to get there. So pulling us back 1 step to maybe about 200 entry locations is maybe a little easier to replicate, but you still have to have quite a bit of scale to get there. You look at the DDUs, and in the past, how many trucks were going to the DDU? You have ours. Back in the day, there was FedEx, UPS-MI, Pitney Bowes, the USPS themselves, Amazon, 6 trucks going to every DDU. Is that really necessary? And you just zoom out and say, for the sake of carbon efficiency in the world and the need for optimization in general, I get it. Like, it makes sense to commingle that stuff early and only have a very small amount of trucks going to all those DDUs. There's a lot of them. So from a lot of this perspective, as painful it was at the onset, some of it makes sense in the grand world. And then we just need to adapt to make it work for us. We spent a lot of time and we've got a tremendous relationship with the USPS, and they've helped us every step of the way to be successful, which we have. So I can't credit that team enough for listening to us, working with us to make the turn.
What I find really interesting is where you said they pulled us back. Whenever that news came out, it seemed like everyone knew something was going to go down. And then you heard the news, the September-ish timeframe last year that they are executing on that one pullback. There was a freak out moment. I love hearing that. You're like, that's a good thing. At the end of the day, from a network standpoint, as long as you have scale, that's a good thing. That's a really interesting aspect. I didn't look at it that way because there was a cost implication, but then there is the offset implication as well at the same time.
For sure. Being very reactive, you just don't want change or we don't like it, but that's not the case. I try to look at it holistically in terms of a package needs to go from A to B. You don't need 6 trucks going to tens of thousands of DDUs every day. It's a bit much. Now, there are some cases where there are huge ones and there's a lot of density, and maybe some of that does make sense in the future. I don't want to preclude that, but to have 6 trucks going to North Arkansas, maybe not.
And look, the new Postmaster General comes with a little background as well, more so from a commercial perspective. Who knows? There could be some changes coming, like things that you would not think would rapidly change. One administration does something and then kind of flip around. Who knows at this point, right? What's going to end up happening? Maybe by the end of the summer, we might see some sort of change. And I'm pretty sure there is lobbying, there is conversations that are going on to keep it. There is that context around collaborate versus compete from a network standpoint. That's always going to stay true.